My name's Jim Campbell. I've been in the freight industry for over 50 years in both manufacturing and operations. I was approached by Michelin tyre company to participate in the recent tyre survey that was held in early July 2014 to both validate and monitor the tests, the vehicles and the test results. The purpose of the tyre survey was to provide an on-road comparison between the new green tyre and the black tyre. The comparison was ensured as far as possible to be accurate by using the same track tractor, the same type of trailer combination, which was an interlinked trailer combination. The vehicles were loaded, and that was done by loading sacks of clay distributed on the trailers to ensure that the axle loadings were as similar as possible across the three rigs. The fuel consumption was accurately measured by measuring both the flow of the fuel into the engine and the return flow back to the tank, and the resultant differential being the actual fuel burnt. The vehicles, when they were in motion, were operating under cruise control once the speed of 50-60 kilometers had been achieved. Gear changes were managed by the automated shift on each vehicle, and the speed was held as close as possible to 80 kilometers an hour. The tyre pressures were checked each morning before starting the trips. The trip itself was a distance of about 700 kilometers from Phileas via Johannesburg down to Colesberg. Trip 2 obviously the reverse trip back to Phileas, and trip 3 again Phileas down to Colesberg. The tyres on each rig were actually changed from rig number 1 to rig number 2 to rig number 3 during the test, and these tyre changes were made at the end of leg 1, the end of leg 2 and the end of leg 3. This was to ensure that each type of tyre was subject to whatever differences there may have been in the truck. These tests were actually more accurate than tests that I'd been involved in before. At the end of the 3 legs, the fuel used on the green tyre was substantially less, and this is the one area of technology improvement on vehicles that each manufacturer has been striving to improve. Fuel, as we all know, is very expensive, but another important issue is the fact that the South African government are proposing very shortly to introduce a tax on the emission of carbon dioxide. The fact that the Michelin green tyre is offering a substantial improvement in reducing fuel consumption means it will also reduce the emission of carbon dioxide by each vehicle on the road. I used to think, as when there was a newbie in the operational side of the business, that a tyre was a black thing with a hole in the middle, a black donut. Over my experience of operating vehicles, I very soon realized that there's far, far more that goes into that. If you can save fuel purely and simply by fitting a particular brand and type of tyre, you do not have to look for that fuel saving elsewhere. The tyre would be a given. If we could take and apply the fuel saving that was proven on the green tyre within this tyre survey, that's a substantial amount of fuel savings. An operator would have to work very, very hard to achieve the saving that has come about just by fitting Michelin green tyres.
Michelin, a better way forward.